Do you feel worse when you eat fermented foods or avocados, even though they're healthy? Hi, I'm Dr. Farney, and for the last 20 plus years, I've been working with clients to try to find the root cause of their problems. Today, we're going to be talking about one of these conditions called histamine intolerance. We'll look at some of the common symptoms, we'll look at some of the ways to test for it, and we'll also look at some possible solutions for you. So if this interests you, keep watching. And if you've ever experienced a weird symptom, post it below so we can talk about it. So what is histamine intolerance? Well, just like it says, you're not able to tolerate histamine. There is a spectrum involved with this. On one side, you might have really mild allergies. On the other side, you might have a really extreme mast cell activation case. Somewhere in the middle, you have what's called histamine intolerance. Now, this comes from histamine. Histamine is a natural compound in the body, and it's also found in foods. The problem is not histamine, it's how much histamine is being released. So think of your body as a bucket that if it fills up faster than it drains, you're going to have symptoms. And the more you have and the less you're able to drain it, the greater the symptoms. So what are the common symptoms related to histamine intolerance? Common ones are things like headaches, nasal congestion, runny nose, sneezing. You might have insomnia or brain fog. You might have fatigue, diarrhea. You can also have hives or lots of different skin reactions. Depending on how much histamine you have and where it's being affected, it could cause a lot of different symptoms. And it does vary from person to person. If you've experienced some of these, drop an emoji that describes what you're feeling. There's a general lack of awareness of this condition in the medical community. They are aware of allergies and sensitivities, but often these things get misdiagnosed. You might have anxiety that you think is related to a trauma, and it's actually just excess histamine. Or you might have irritable bowel syndrome that you think is related to something else, a food or a food sensitivity, and it ends up being a histamine problem that may be coming from mold or other toxins because of dysbiosis. So there's a lot of confusion wrapped around this when it relates to histamine. What are some of the root causes for histamine intolerance? The first one is DAO enzyme or diamine oxidase enzyme deficiency. This is one of the main enzymes that breaks histamine down, along with HNMT. These two allow the body to break it down to the normal levels and get it out of your body. Many people, when they have this SNP, or a single nucleotide polymorphism, will have an inability to break this down. Chronic stress, which is another cause of the histamine intolerance, will cause an activation of that SNP, meaning they'll no longer be able to produce the amount of DAO that they need in order to break it down normally. Another one is going to be gut dysbiosis and leaky gut. When you have an imbalance of microflora, many bad bacteria will produce an endotoxin which causes inflammation. This inflammation can cause a rise in zonulin, and zonulin is keeping the cells together. When those cells start to separate, you start to have a permeable membrane, and things are allowed to go across from the tube in the digestive system into the inside of us. That's where the immune system can start getting activated and more systemic inflammation can take place. Another one is going to be mold toxicity and microbes. Microbes like mold, yeast, bacteria like Lyme, Bartonella, Babesia, some of those other co-infections, but also mold toxins that we're exposed to in water damaged buildings, either our homes or the buildings that we have to work in. And then the last thing is nutritional deficiencies. There are key nutrients that are needed in order for detox to happen, for histamine to be broken down. Things like B6, magnesium, copper, and also vitamin C. A lot of us are deficient in some of these nutrients, especially if we already have inflammation in the gut. So if you want a further breakdown of what helps to break histamine down, check out some of my other reels, like and follow, and you can actually see those on some of my social media pages. Here's what you can do right now to help with histamine intolerance. In the short term, you want to use a low histamine diet one that avoids grains like gluten and others, one that avoids processed foods, sugars, avoids milk products, has fruits and vegetables that are organic and healthy protein sources. And remembering this is a short-term solution. If you can fix the gut and fix some of these other things we'll talk about, then you can actually start to have some of these foods again. You also need to look at stress reduction techniques, whether it be walking or other forms of exercise, meditating, walking, sauna, grounding, getting sun. All these things are going to be helpful in reducing cortisol, which is part of the problem with histamine. Then you want to look at supplements like DAO, quercetin, rutin, lutein, and turmeric. They're great anti-inflammatories. So is fish oil. And then there are also over-the-counter antihistamines that you can look at. In the long term, you want to actually fix the gut. You got to figure out what's causing it though. So if there are toxins like heavy metal toxins or mycotoxins from mold or endotoxins from the dysbiosis, you want to work on helping the body get rid of those. You also need to open up detox pathways, help the body to process these toxins out. And then you want to look at balancing the microbiome. You want to bring in good probiotics and good prebiotics. Now, we mentioned already that some prebiotics, the fermented foods, are high histamine. There are other prebiotics that you can have like inulin and glucosamine. Those are good, and other fibers that are good as a prebiotic. And there are also low histamine probiotics that you can take that will help to balance the microbiome. So here's a good start for you. But remember, once you calm the inflammation down, you're probably going to be able to have some of those foods again. And lastly, we need to talk about if you're not managing your stress very well, or if you haven't addressed traumas from the past, these can dysregulate you, especially in your autonomic nervous system, which then will throw everything off. So you've got to work on those as well in order to be able to solve this. If you're stuck in that I react to everything cycle, you don't have to live this way. There are resources available on my website, blogs, downloads that you can look at. There are other reels that I've done on this that talk about more solutions. So I encourage you to check those out. You can even book a discovery consult with me on my website. Would love to help. Post below any comments that you have, and I'll try to respond to those. And I hope you get some help for your histamine intolerance.